Shri Hare Namaha. We shall begin today's session now. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Om Purva Gurubhyo Namaha. Om Adi Gurubhyo Namaha. Om Mula Gurubhyo Namaha. Om Srimad Ananda Tirtha Bhagavad Padacharya Namaha. Om Vedavyasaya Namaha. Om Bharatyai Namaha. Om Saraswatyai Namaha. Om Vayave Namaha. Om Brahmane Namaha. Om Mahalakshmi Namaha. Om Narayanaya Namaha. Om Haraye Namaha. Om Vasudevaya Namaha. कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय हरे परमात्मने प्रणतक्लेशनाशाय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। हरे राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो ग्रन्थमुदीरयेत्। नारायणं सुरगुरुं जगदेकनाथं भक्तप्रियं सकललोकनमस्कृतं च त्रैगुण्यवर्जितम् अजं विपुनाद्यमीशं वन्दे भवग्नमरासुरसिद्धवन्द्यम्। अविकाराय शुद्धाय नित्याय परमात्मने सदैकरूपरूपाय विष्णवे सर्वजिष्णवे नमो हिरण्यगर्भाय हरये शंकराय च वासुदेवाय ताराय सर्गस्थित्यन्तकारिणे एकानेकस्वरूपाय स्थूलसूक्ष्मात्मने नमः। अव्यक्तव्यक्तरूपाय विष्णवे मुक्तिहेतवे सर्गस्थितिविनाशानां जगतोऽस्य जगन्मयः मूलभूतो नमस्तस्मै विष्णवे परमात्मने। So today we shall be discussing a bit about Pancharatra and also about the nature of Parabrahman as per Tattvavaada. So till now, does anyone have any queries or doubts?
Hare Rama, brother.
Hare Raman.
Yeah, so I had one question that, like, as you mentioned in the last lecture, that those who are addicted to speaking badly are those who are considered to be fallen down from all their dharmas, even after devtas, even devtas maintain distance from such people. So my question is that if someone uses abusive or disrespectful language, especially towards our acharya, and so how should we respond? Like, should we remain silent and tolerate it even if we are unable to leave the situation or place, or should we defend our acharyas even if that means responding with strong or harsh words? Since if we remain silent, it will affect our own mind only. But then speaking harshly in return also cause devtas to distance themselves from us. So what should we do in such case?
See, in such cases, first of all, again, here a different dharma overrules this. So, speaking harshly is justified as long as we don't use tamasika language as such and we criticize those people for what they are. And the best example for how to react in this situation is actually given in the Mahabharata, if you see. So, there, when Yudhishthira was actually overcome by the avesha of Kalipurusha. So because of that, he ended up gambling and he lost all his wealth and property. But then Dhritarashtra requested that to be given back to him, and still he again went there and gambled with Duryodhana because Duryodhana called him again. So because of that, he again lost all of his wealth again, and he also ended up staking the Pandavas and his own wife also, Draupadi. And the rest, I think everyone knows what happened. So, how did each person react there? Can anyone explain?
They were angry from inside, but they didn't speak anything.
That was actually done only by Vidura because he was in a powerless situation, but he did not. He actually spoke against it and left the hall also. He actually criticized all of the people present there, especially Dhritarashtra, saying that they were all blinded by liking for Duryodhana and other people, that they totally had no more sense of what dharma was and what adharma was, and he criticized them and he left the place also. But again, that's all he could do. And what else did any of the Pandavas do anything about it? Does anyone know what they did?
All the
They
Pandavas were bound to their elder brother's words because they thought, they assumed that to be dharma.
Okay, any other answers?
Bhimsen took a oath, right, that he will kill Dushasan himself.
Yes, Bhima actually openly declared that he was going to finish all of them, and he also said that he will kill Dushasana and drink his blood also. And he even
Yes.
took an oath to break Duryodhana's thigh because he asked Draupadi to sit on his lap. Then he also made an oath to break his other thigh because Duryodhana casually joked to stake Krishna also as their next stake for gambling. Then he also declared and when the Pandavas were exiled for 18 years, they were leaving, and once again the Kauravas were just overjoyed. They literally couldn't control their excitement, and they ended up dancing happily as the Pandavas left with absolutely no wealth to go and reside as Vanaprasthas. When the Pandavas were leaving, Duryodhana, Dushasana, Karna, and so many people, they were very happy actually. And at that time, Bhima made a third oath that he will stomp the head of Duryodhana, and he ended up executing all three of his oaths. So, but again, he could not execute them immediately because Yudhishthira forcibly stopped him, and even Arjuna, who tried to stop Duryodhana from causing further trouble. So this was explained by Sri Madhvacharya in his Mahabharata Tatvarya that the main reason is that uh, Duryodhana had forcibly taken control over Dhritarashtra's mind, and Dhritarashtra was fully under the influence of Kalipurusha. Because, in other words, Duryodhana himself is Kalipurusha. And he had also taken over the mind of Yudhishthira. So, Yudhishthira had developed the Avesha of Kalipurusha, because of which he was influenced to indulge in such adharmic deeds, despite no noble person being eligible to perform gambling. So anyway, because of all this, these were certain things which reduced the excess punya which some of the devatas had done, and in the process of that, one can see that Yudhishthira even ended up supporting the Adharmis in other ways by stopping Bhima and Arjuna from finishing Duryodhana right there. So in any case, the whole message of the Mahabharata is that, because one can correlate this with people in real life also, as to how they react and how they behave, and how uh, they may show such kind of attitudes and behave like the worst kind of people, but in the end they won't win. So can anyone tell here what was the main reason why Vidura could not do anything, and Duryodhana was threatened only by Bhima and Arjuna?
No idea, brother.
So it was because of their position. Bhima was almost Duryodhana's equal, and he was also a Kshatriya. He was a warrior. He had the capacity to finish him, and it was very easy for him. Vidura, on the other hand, was a Shudra, and he did not have the capability to fight Duryodhana. So he had no power to actually finish Duryodhana right there. And actually, Duryodhana is the avatar of Kalipurusha himself. So, other than Bhagwan himself and the Ruju Devatas, no one has the power to absolutely finish him and destroy him completely. So that is the same reason. Actually, during the churning of the ocean, when the Devatas were desiring to obtain Amrita, and there were so many other things which came. The first thing which appeared was the Halahala poison. So who drank the Halahala poison?
Shivji.
It was actually Vayu, as said in the Keshi Sukta of the Rigveda. So there is a mantra in the Keshi Sukta, that is the 10th mandala, the 136th Sukta, if I remember correctly. The 7th mantra there clearly says that Vayur Patrena Vishasya Rudrena Apibat Saha, which means that Vayu, along with Rudra, drank the poison from the vessel. So in the Kumbakonam edition of the Mahabharata, actually, there is this story which has been lost in most other editions, but this was quoted by Sri Madhvacharya. So there it is clearly stated that actually when the ocean was churned, because Hala Hala was the poison which originated from Brahmadeva, So it was the Swarupa of Kalipurusha himself. And because of that, it was not possible for any other Devata to digest it. So Pranadeva went forward and he consumed the poison. And along with that, he gave a portion to Shiva because Shiva also wanted to contribute to it. But Shiva actually fainted upon drinking it because no other Devata actually had the capacity to tolerate it. That's why in the Padma Purana, it is stated that by chanting Achyutaya Namaha, Anantaya Namaha, Govindaya Namaha, Shiva was able to tolerate it nonetheless. And after that, that is how in the current Manvantara, Shiva became Neelakanta. So in other Manvantaras, there are different reasons why he acquired the name Neelakanta. But in this Manvantara, it was because of part of the poison going into his throat. So here, actually, because of this, the fact is that depending on one's capacity, one can perform certain deeds. So coming back to the question that was asked, so the fact is that because depending on the situation and depending upon one's position, one has to react accordingly. If that person is very superior to us or is in a position where we can't do much about it or it will cause more harm, we cannot really criticize that person openly. That's a fact. So we cannot show absolute straightforwardness there. That is why it is said in the Manusmriti also that if something is true but is unfavorable or is going to be malicious, one should not actually say that also. So one should say what is true and favorable. So that is why it depends on one's position and the situation one is in. There is no absolute single answer as to how one should react. But again, one should always remember to try their best to stop other means and to criticize them, and also to openly to show the misdeeds of certain people and criticize them, and also to show why one should be dharmic. So does that make it clear?
Yes, brother. So that means we should not use tamasic language to criticize them.
Yes, definitely. Because we should maintain our standards properly. We should not stoop to their level, such as we also abusing their sampradayas, acharyas, or anything for what these people do. Because it is unfortunate to say this, but in few of the online communities which we are also part of, and most of the participants of this course or have also been part of, this has been happening since quite a while, which we have noticed, and this is quite important, which many people don't get actually. So we should obviously not show that we are no different from them. So does that make it clear?
Yes, brother. And one more thing, that there was one story that Shivji drank bhang to neutralize the effect of poison. So was it true, genuine, or it was also fake?
That is from the certain Pashupata Agamas. So we consider some of them to be Avaidika and Mohaka. So it is again for this reason, for deluding the Tamasikas, such things are stated, but actually the Devatas are Satvika, so they won't do such things.
Okay, brother. Thank you.
Any
Pragnam,
further
one
query?
question.
Yes.
One question. So the churning of the ocean happened in the sixth Manvantara, right? That's what I've heard in the Pravachana. So is
If I remember
Shiva
correctly,
called?
that happened in the last Manvantara actually. I'll
Okay.
confirm this again, but if I remember correctly, the churning of the ocean happened in the current Manvantara only, not the
Correct.
sixth Manvantara.
Sixth one. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
This is seventh Manvantara, right?
Yes, I think so. If Guruji is able to join us today, he might be able to confirm. But it's a bit uncertain as Guruji is held up due to a sudden emergency today with few people he knew. So we'll see if he'll be able to join or not. Any other queries? Yes, Itihasas are from this Manvantara only. Okay, so if there are no other queries, we can move forward with today's topic. So, in the beginning of starting this course, we had actually discussed about, we had shared few articles and certain publications of our website. So, has everyone gone through them at least once?
Yes, brother.
What about others?
Yes.
Okay, so today we'll be discussing some things about Bhagwan and the nature of Bhagwan. So all these days we have been discussing about how to perform sadhana and about how one can attain Bhagwan and all that. So, but since we have not discussed elaborately about who Bhagwan exactly is and why he is the supreme being or why we worship him, so we shall discuss more about that elaborately today. So, in the philosophy of Vedanta, the basic synonym for God or a supreme being, one could say, is Parabrahman or Paramatma, Bhagwan. There are so many words. That's why in the Bhagavata Purana's first Skanda's third Adhyaya, there is a shloka which has been quoted by Sri Madhvacharya in his Brahma Sutra Bhashya also. It states, Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagwan iti Shabdite. So, the supreme being is known as he is advaya, that is without a second. So the supreme being is said to be he is called as Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan. So the etymology of the term Bhagavan has been explained elaborately in the Vishnu Purana's sixth Tamsha, which we have published, and we have given additional explanations also. So, and we've already mentioned that everyone here can refer to them in case they haven't for the detailed explanation in the fifth Adhyaya towards the end for why he is known as Bhagavan. So, can anyone here tell what the word Atma means?
Soul.
Okay, any yeah, it means self. It actually means self. So that's why the word Atma means self, and the true self of us is not the Sharira, not the Manas or Buddhi or anything. Rather, it is the Jiva. So the Jiva, as said in the Shvetashvatara Upanishad, is the small particle which is the spirit which provides life to a body. So this is what we could call as soul. But again, the actual literal meaning of the word Atma is self. So because Paramatma is like the self of our self of the Jiva, he is said to be Paramatma. He is the highest self. So it doesn't mean that he is actually us only, because that is how the Smartas usually interpret it. The followers of Kevala Advaita say that on this basis, that since he is said to be Paramatma, we should realize that he himself is our Atma and we don't have any other Atma. But again, this is flawed because there are explicit statements throughout the Shastras where one can find that that Paramatma and the Jivatma are totally discrete entities. So there is a mantra in the Antaryami Brahmana of the Madhyandina Shaka of the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, which states that Yo Atmani Tishtan Yo Atmano Antaro Yasyatma Shariram Sata Antaryami. So which means that the one who is established in the Atma, he is positioned inside the Atma, and he is separate from the Atma. Yaha Atmanaha Antaraha. He is discrete from the Atma. So he is actually here. It is clearly stated that he is separate from the Atma and he is a totally different entity. So similarly, the whole Brahmana repeats the same mantra with different tattvas such as Reta, Apas, Prithvi. So one who is established in Prithvi but is separate from Prithvi. So that is what is stated throughout this Antaryami Brahmana. So that is why he is. So that is why he is actually said to be Paramatma, but it doesn't mean he himself is our Atma. So similarly, so it is said that he is separate from the Atma, Yasyatma Shariram. So the Atma is his body. The Sri Vaishnavas call this as Shariratma, the concept of Shariratma. So what they say is that they always use this analogy to say that the Jivatmas are like the body of Vishnu. But of course, we Madhvas have a slight difference here. So we don't believe that it means Vishnu has different entities as his body literally. Because again, in Sri Madhvacharya's Kathopanishad Bhashya, he quotes the same mantra from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, and he explains that Vishnu has a body of his own. So how is it possible that he is said to be having these entities as his body? So the answer is that they are said to be his body because a body is something which is under the control of the soul. So Paramatma is our Antaryami and he is the controller of the Jivatma. So on this basis, he is said to be Paramatma and we are said to be his Sharira. So if we are compared to a body, we exist because of his grace. So because of that, the Jivatma is like the body of Paramatma. Now this doesn't literally mean that we are his body, because he does not have a physical body in the first place. There is one shloka in the Varaha Purana's Rudra Gita in the 73rd Adhyaya, which has been quoted by Sri Madhvacharya in his Bhagavad Gita Bhashya, Adhyaya 2, Shloka 72. So there it is said, Na tasya prakriter murtihi asti mamsaha, which means that he has no physical body made of the physical matter or that which is made up of flesh or bones. So even when he takes an avatara, many people think that he took birth as a human being. And even in the last quiz which we had given, some people had answered that question. They had answered one question about how Bhagwan takes avatars as he takes up a physical body. So the fact is that he never actually takes up a physical body. So if one carefully observes how he appears and how he takes an avatara, he never actually takes birth like a human being at all. Rather, he simply appears and then disappears. So he simply acquires a visible form which is visible to the physical eyesight because he is already omnipresent everywhere. So he is actually known as Brahman now because he is all pervading. He is omnipresent. He envelops the whole universe and beyond. So that is why in the Vishnu Purana and Mahabharata also there is one mention that Brihatvat Brahmanatvat cha tad Brahma abhidhiyate, which means that because of his being huge and being encompassing all entities, he is known as Brahman. So this is the etymology of the term Brahman. So in the Brahma Sutras also, which are the core text of Vedanta, the very second sutra states, Om Janmadyasya Yataha Om. So what this means is that Brahman, this is the definition of Brahman. Brahman is that who is the origin of, and the cause of the origin of the whole universe and other things which happen, such as sthiti, that is preservation, and pralaya, that is destruction. So he is the cause of all the changes which keep happening here. So that is why he is said to be Janmadyasya Yataha. So that is why he is said to be the cause of all. That is why in the Narayana Upanishad, in the fourth kanda, it is stated, Brahmanyo Devaki Putro Brahmanyo Madhusudanom Sarvabhutastamekam Narayanam Karana Purusham Akaranam Parabrahmom. Sarvabhutastamekam Narayanam. So he is situated in all entities. He is the Karana Purusha, which means the Purusha who is the cause of for everything that happens. And he is Akaranam. He himself is causeless, as said in the Vishnu Purana also in the 6th Amsha's 5th Adhyaya. It is said that he is again Sarva Karana Karana. he is the cause of all causes, but he himself is actually causeless. So that is why he is Parabrahman. So similarly, he is that is why commonly we refer to him as Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan. And if everyone here have been in touch with our YouTube channel, you will see that we have given an elaborate video on why Vishnu and Brahman literally mean the same thing, because the word Vishnu is derived from the dhatu Vyash or Vish, which means to encompass, to envelop, which is literally the same thing as Brihat or Brahman. It is the same thing as Brahman. So that is why the word Vishnu and Brahman actually mean the same thing. So because both are synonyms, it is actually one reason why Sri Madhvacharya states that he quoted a mantra from the Balaveya Shruti that it is actually Vishnu who is primarily indicated by the term Brahman. So some other characteristics which are described to use Paramatma are Sat, Chit, Ananda, Ananta, and Jnana. So these are actually commonly recurring in the Upanishads. So Sat, which means true, or something who truly exists. So, he is the entity which is who is the cause of all causes. So that is why he is said to be Sat. Chit, which means consciousness or having a mind. So again, he is a conscious entity, and he is again the source of consciousness in all other beings. So that is why he is said to be Sat and Chit. Ananda, he is in the 12th sutra of the Brahma Sutras, it is again said Om Anandamayaha Om, which means that he is consisting of Ananda, or in other words, he himself is Ananda. So because of that, he is the root of all Ananda, which we can actually derive, and because of remembering him as our Antaryami, we remember the fact that we are the reflections of him, and that is why we are able to actually obtain yoga or union with him. And because of that, we can achieve certain spiritual sadhanas, and we can experience Ananda and other effects. So similarly, he is also said to be Ananta. So Ananta literally means endless. So he is said to be endless because he is infinite. So as said already, he is said to be Vishnu because he is all pervading and he is omnipresent everywhere. And the whole world exists in him, just like how water exists in a container. So because of that, he is said to be all pervading, and he is said to be Ananta because he's infinite, and he doesn't have a beginning or an end. So that is why in the Mahabharata, also in the Shanti Parva, as quoted by Sri Madhvacharya in his Gita Bhashya, it is stated that na adi anantau na devarshaya viduhu. So he is Parabrahman, who is without a beginning or an end, and not even the Devatas and the Rishis know him. So because of that, he's endless, and it's impossible for anyone to know him. And even Lakshmi Devi also herself doesn't know him very well. She also can contemplate only on a few gunas of his, but she cannot actually count all of his gunas either, because he is infinite. So that is why the only person who knows him is said to be Hari Narayana. That is he himself. He himself knows himself, but there is no one else who can actually know him. And he is also said to be Jnana because he is the root of all knowledge, and knowing him is actually the ultimate Jnana. So that is why in the end of the Vishnu Purana's 6th Amsha's 5th Adhyaya, the last shloka actually says, Samjnayate yena tadastadosham shuddham param nirmalam eka rupam samdrishyate vapyavagamyate va tadjnanam adjnanam ato anyad uktam. Which means that the knowledge by which he who is devoid of defects and is pure can be seen and understood, that alone is, if it is so, then it can be called as jnana. But if anything else other than this, is said to be ajnana. So that is actually not worth of that is not worth to know. That knowledge is actually not useful. So any questions still here?
Brother, which knowledge is not useful?
Anything which doesn't help in our sadhana to contemplate and understand Bhagavan.
Oh, okay, yes.
Any questions?
I had one question, brother. You
Sure.
said that Bhagwan is the origin of everything,
Yes.
right? And Krishna also says in Gita that Aham Sarvasya Prabhu, Matta Sarvam Pravartati, that everything comes from him.
Yes.
But we also have understanding that like this is the same question which I asked last time to Guruji, that Prakriti and Jiva, they have been always been existing. They have not been created by Bhagavan. So in this statement, it looks like an apparent contradiction, because he's saying that everything comes from me, but at the same time, the Jiva and the Prakriti doesn't come from him. They always exist from eternity, right?
Okay, so Guruji had explained this in the last session. So if it's unclear, I'll explain it slightly differently. So the fact is that so the main reason they are said to they are said to be originating from Paramatma is because they they usually manifest from him in the beginning of creation. They manifest from him, and later on they merge into him during Mahapralaya. So usually on that basis, you will find mentions that they originate from him or take birth from him. Now coming to the fact that Bhagavan is Sarva Karana Karana, and he is said to be the cause of all causes. But again, the Jivas and Prakriti are said to not have a beginning. So, to make sure you get that properly, can you define what is cause here or Karana?
Cause would be something. It is means it is the
So, cause means something which is necessary for something to function. So because of this only a certain thing can happen. So here cause or karana means that these entities are dependent on a cause because of which they exist. So the jivas and prakriti have been existing since eternity, but again they exist since eternity only because of Paramatma's grace. If Paramatma is absent from this picture, then they cannot exist even for a moment, for even a fraction of a second also. So this is the explanation actually given by Sri Jayatirtharu in Nyaya Sudha, because this was somewhat of a question which would arise every now and then. So does that make it clear?
So the Prakriti and the Jiva, they exist along with Paramatma, but they cannot function unless the Paramatma intervenes. Am I getting that correct?
Yes, because of Paramatma, they're able to exist in the first place and they're able to function normally. Because all of them depend on Paramatma. Like, for example, if you take any lights or other electrical appliances, they are able to produce light only because they get electricity. So Paramatma is like the electricity here.
Okay, but then Bhagwan is also said to be the creator, right? But he does not create the Jiva and the Prakriti.
See, for certain things, he is said to be the creator, and again in shlokas like the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, in the 12th shloka, he literally says that he is also not the creator of Varnashrama and other things. So he is said to be not the creator because again he doesn't create them as such, but he causes them to manifest and to come into samsara and perform whatever actions they perform. So that is why he enables their sadhana and what they do or any action they commit. So that is why, and because they appear from him, he is said to be their creator, and for these other reasons, he is said to be the cause of all causes. But that doesn't mean he literally created them or brought them into existence when they were not existing.
So when you say they are unmanifested, do they exist in the body of the Bhagwan in the unmanifested phase?
Not exactly. The kind of actually every entity exists in Bhagavan only, because they depend on him for actually existing, and he is all pervading. So he is omnipresent. So that is why they're said to be existing like that on in Bhagavan himself. But again, that doesn't literally mean they reside in him, but but actually they exist outside the Brahmanda. So then they come into samsara during the process of sarga or srishti.
Okay, understood, Vada. Thank you.
Any other queries?
Brother, outside the Brahmanda means where exactly?
Currently, we are inside the universe, which is called the Brahmanda.
Yeah, so outside the Brahmanda, where?
What do you mean?
What do you mean by outside the Brahmanda?
Means outside this universe. The Brahmanda is where all the processes of Srishti, Sthiti, and Laya take place. So outside that, where there is not much of an effect of time usually, there will be other realms such as Vaikunta and also Andantamas, and the unmanifested jivas will be there till they get a chance to randomly come into samsara and execute their sadhana.
And where is Sri Hari? Inside or outside?
He is everywhere. That is what is the meaning of the word Vishnu, and why he is said to be Vasudeva.
Okay, brother, got it.
He envelops the whole universe and all entities out inside and outside also. That's why in the Narayana Sukta of the Yajurveda it is said, Yaccha kinchit jagat sarvam drishyate shruyate piva antarbahishya tat sarvam vyapya narayanah sthitah. Whatever is heard of in or even seen in this whole universe, all that is enveloped completely, both internally and externally, with Narayana positioned in them. That is the meaning of this mantra. And this was also quoted by Sri Madhvacharya in his Brahma Sutra Bhashya in the second Adhyaya, if I remember correctly.
So inside Narayana only, there is Brahmans inside also and outside also.
Yes.
Okay, brother, got it.
Any other?
Hare Ram Bhata. I have one query. Just a clarification I need. This Brahmanda exists inside Bhutakasha, and outside Bhutakasha there exists Avyakritakasha. So Vaikuntha and Antantamas exist in Avyakritakasha or not?
I'm not sure of the exact explanation of that because I've not confirmed this. But if I remember correctly, Sri Vadiraja Tirtharu had explained most of this in one of his granthas. So I'll check with that sometime, or else if Guruji comes today, we could ask him only this question, or else when Guruji joins tomorrow, this can be asked.
Okay, Brata. Hare Rama. Thank you.
Any other queries? Yes,
One
Bhagavan is
question.
not the reason for the nature of the jiva. The swabhava of the jiva is because they are just like that. That is not, again, that is what Krishna meant when he spoke about Varnashrama also, as referring to gunas of the jivas, because Varna is also a type of Swabhava, as we discussed. So that's why uh, he says that he is not the creator also. Actually, other than Madhvas, no other sampradaya has been able to explain these shlokas perfectly. And if you see the 18th adhyaya of the Bhagavad Gita, also there the varnashramas, the quality of different varnas and are actually described with reference to swabhava. So there, most other translators and the authors of other sampradayas have just written that it refers to the qualities which define their nature due to their frequent actions and such things. But again, it is Madhvacharya alone who provided an accurate explanation for this. Yeah, was someone else about to ask any query?
Yeah. So during Pralaya, Hari absorbs all the jivas, manifested and both unmanifested, into himself, into his stomach, and then he releases, after the Brahmand is created, he releases the unmanifested back into the outer regions of the Brahmanda. Is that understanding correct?
Yes, he releases them into the Brahmanda.
No, the unmanifested ones.
Yeah, they are released into the Brahmanda so that they can take birth here and they can obtain a body and perform their sadhana to manifest their swabhavika gunas.
No, the ones who are not coming in this kalpa, but they will come into later Brahma kalpas.
They will
about those
continue to
jivas.
remain unmanifested like that only, outside the
Okay,
Brahmanda.
and that happens during Pralaya as well. They still remain outside only.
Yeah.
Okay.
They are unaffected by Pralaya till they are inside this Brahmanda.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
So, brother, all this is inside his stomach only.
Yes. All this is, he is said to be, he's compared like that because just as how there are many rooms and floors inside a building, the logic is similar to that.
Okay, brother. So we don't come outside of his stomach, right?
Yeah, we are said to be in him, just as how fluid is in a container and can exist there because it is in that container.
Okay, brother, got it. Thank you.
Any further queries?
Bharata, I have one query. I don't know if it's correct to ask it now or not, but it's a little off topic.
Okay.
Exactly, the query is when the Brahmanda does not exist during that time, uh, Bhagwan exists in form of child on Mahalakshmi having the form of Vatapatra.
Yes.
So, does there actually, I mean, there are only these two entities existing. So, does Lakshmi and Bhagwan Vishnu have Vatsalya Bhava during that time, or it's still the same husband wife relation?
It's the same relationship, obviously.
Okay, okay, Bhrata. Thank you. Hare Rama.
Hare Ram. Any further queries?
Brata, you mentioned that Bhagavan does not take birth in this world like an ordinary person, that his
Yeah.
birth is actually very divya. I had a question that uh, for Rama or Krishna, did they enter the womb of their mother or did they just appear?
They had entered their mother's womb, but later on they didn't actually have childbirth, or how we call it as the biological process of parturition. They just disappeared from there and appeared as a child. If you see the Bhagavata Purana's 10th Skanda's 3rd Adhyaya, which elaborately explains about Sri Krishna's birth, there you can see that he actually simply took up a visible form in front of Vasudeva and Devaki, though he was residing in Devaki's womb for a few months.
Yeah, he took the Chaturbhuj form, right?
Yes.
In front of her.
And he had all sorts of ornaments also, and he had fully grown hair, but all that is not possible for a child who is just born.
Yes, I think also in that it is explained that he entered the mind of Vasudev, and through the mind of Vasudev, he went into the womb of Devki.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that is.
Okay, thank you.
Any more queries?
So one more question. Yeah, one more
Yes.
question to this. So does Lakshmi Devi and other Ruju devatas who come into this world, they also come in a similar way, like Madhvacharya also, and then
Yes.
Vadiraj Tirthiru,
Lakshmi Devi
they are also
never
Rujus, right?
takes up a physical body. If you see
And all the
Srimad
other Rujus
Acharya
as well.
also. What?
And all the other Rujus as well who come, they don't take a physical body.
The Ruju Devatas do take up a physical body, but again,
Okay.
they don't actually leave behind a physical body or face birth and death the same way as we do.
Okay. Got it.
Any more queries?
Yeah, brother, one more query. You mentioned about the existence of Atma and Paramatma. So we know that we believe that in Vaishnava Siddhanta, that Atma and Paramatma are both accepted as a separate entity. But we see in
Yes.
Advaita that Paramatma is accepted as the ultimate reality, but Atma is said to be an illusion. That
Yes.
Atma itself does not exist, and that once one attains mukti, there's only Paramatma and there is no Atma. And in that I have not deeply studied the Advaita, but I've heard that in Advaita there is a Siddhanta of Paramarthik and Vyavahara.
Yes,
So,
that is commonly used by them to explain so many things.
so is that a valid Siddhanta from scripture?
Definitely not. In the Vishnu Purana and few other places, you will find usage of the terms as Vyavahara and Paramartha. So they literally consider this as a kind of superficial truth and ultimate truth. But
Yes.
again, that is not really valid, because one can see that elsewhere also it is stated clearly that these examples which they use for this are not applicable here only. Because if you see the last pada of the Brahma Sutras and the Kata Upanishad also, it is clearly stated that the jivas remain subordinate to Paramatma and do not gain so many capabilities such as creating the universe and all these things which Paramatma can perform even after achieving moksha. So moksha is what? It's the Paramartha. So there should be absolutely no more Vyavaharika Vedas. So obviously here it means that Jiva Ishvara Veda is Paramarthika only, and it is, as said in the beginning also, as per Tattvavaada, it is one of the Pancha Vedas. So it is one of the 5 major differences which will exist for all eternity.
Yeah, I see. Okay, thank you.
Any more queries?
Hare Rama Bhrata. Just now we talked about Panchabheda. I have one query regarding that. Now in modern science, we come across many claims like uh, all matter is a singular entity in the ultimate analysis, all those claims. And Advaita conveniently uses quantum physics and all other modern sciences to prove that Advaita is the final reality. So how does Tattvavaada manages to, the explain the matter bheda, jada jada bheda?
See, as said already, if you see, a molecule is made of atoms, and the atoms are made of subatomic particles like protons, neutrons, and electrons. So every one of them is different in one or the other way. And again, a similar explanation is given for why atoms cannot be sarvakarana karana in the Brahma Sutras in the second adhyaya. So one may think that atoms are also omnipresent. So someone had asked this question long ago on the internet as to doesn't that mean atoms themselves are God? Because atoms are said to be omnipresent. They constitute all entities, either atoms or one could say the subatomic particles. So they constitute all entities. They're found in all entities, and because of them, all entities can exist. So this is answered brilliantly by the Brahma Sutras, that one, so in assuming most of you would be knowing chemistry here, at least the basics. So 1 mole of atoms, as we say, for example, 1 mole of H2O can produce they can constitute totally 18 grams of water. They cannot constitute more than 18 grams of water. You cannot use 1 mole of atoms to produce 19 grams of water or 100 grams of water, like that. So they are not ananta. They are not having infinite capabilities. They are not omnipotent. So because of that, they are not qualified to be considered as sarva karana karana. So this explanation is somewhat relevant here. So so similarly, if you see each atom, every atom is different, just like how all human beings and all physical entities are different. Even the subatomic particles are different. If one of them, suppose one of the atoms loses their electrons, or one atom undergoes certain changes or anything, or it gains electrons, does that happen to all other atoms? No, it doesn't happen to all other atoms of that same element also, which are elsewhere. It happens only to those atoms which come in contact with such a chemical process. So that is what jada bheda is about. Every particle of a non-living object is also different. It is unique in its own way, and it has individual existence, except that it depends on Paramatma. So every particle in the universe depends on Paramatma for their existence. So coming to the claims of quantum physics and Advaita Vedanta, most of them are just far-fetched, because most of these things, first of all, they're not proven. Second thing is that most of the scientists in the foreign countries are also now coming towards Indian philosophy and trying to learn that and apply that and see if that can be more beneficial in helping them progress in their scientific studies. So here, under the influence of Advaita, since it is one of the most popular philosophies right now, and which is especially accessible to people who are absolute foreigners with no knowledge of Sanskrit or even other Indian languages. So that is why they are also partially influenced by this, and they don't hesitate to mention such things, and they produce theories in favor of that. But again, all these are not actual theories. They're not practically proven. They're just hypotheses. So I hope you understand that. And does that make it clear?
Yes, Bhrata, very much. Thank you.
Any more queries? Okay, if there are no more queries, we can end the session here for today. So Guruji will probably be able to join us tomorrow. So we request everyone to contemplate over all this and keep reading the materials we have also shared, which will be helpful in understanding all this. So we'll end here for today. Om Achyutaya Namaha, Om Anantaya Namaha, Om Govindaya Namaha. Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Dhanyavada.
Hare Rama, brother.
Hare Rama.
Hare Rama, brother.